Hey everyone, this is Evan from GoodBuy Comics. I wanted to do something a little bit different and build my YouTube channel out here. It's probably long overdue. So I wanted to do something fun and go over my next submission for CGC. I just recently sent in a modern submission. Unfortunately, I didn't do a video for that. That was 50 books, and those will be coming back in the next week or two. But this is Silver Age and Golden Age books. I thought I would share the books that I'm about to submit, and I can follow up with when they come back and how accurate I was with what I thought they would be. One of the biggest things when you're submitting books is knowing what you're submitting, knowing that probably the majority of them are not going to be 9/8 unless you're submitting moderns, and looking at the market and knowing that you have to pay, well, especially if you're expediting them, but if you're paying $45 a book to get it graded and the book's only worth $100, is it worth sending in? The books could be worth $50 and you're paying $45 to grade it and it's $95, and if the book's only worth $125 or something like that, is it worth it to take the risk? So recently I've been, it used to be, yeah, I would do that when the market was really hot. The market's not really hot right now. I've been looking at books and saying, okay, is this book on the low end of what I think it might be, worth at least $150, $200? But, what's the max it could be if the CGC gods are with me? Could it be $500? Could it be $1,000? $45 to get it graded? No big deal. But I do pay the extra $15 to get them back quicker. I don't want to be waiting around 6 months. Who knows where the market will be by then? And I'm impatient and I want to get these books and I want to resell them. Some of them are for my personal collection, but typically though, I'm in the business of reselling comics. So let's just dive right in. And I'd appreciate you subscribing to the channel. We're going to build this out, try to do a whole bunch of videos as often as I can. I'm on Whatnot all the time, eBay, GoodBuy, www.goodbuycomics.com. Buy and sell large collections year round. Everything from Silver Age to modern, or even Golden Age. I dabble in cards and just other really great collectibles. There's so many great collectible industries these days. From video games to sneakers to artwork to Legos to, it's just, there's so much you can collect and there's so much money in it. And, I have a humongous passion for history, and comics is where I really start and gravitate towards, but there's just fantastic things that are super duper interesting that I hope we can connect on. So the first book is Jetsons #1. It's pretty rare. You can imagine that this is a valuable book. So this is a low end copy. It's probably around a 3 to 3.5 is what I'm going with. It has spine wear. You can kind of see the spine wear. Lots of ticks, lots of breaking on the spine there. That's the biggest thing. There's a little tear on the back, but a 3.5 is basically a catch-all for most low grade. Unless you really start getting big rips, big tears, then it can dive down into like the 2s, the 1 and 1.8s. Obviously, if there's pages, if there's a coupon cutout, it would be like a 0.5. But this in a 3 to 3.5 is about a $250 to $500 book. So for $45, I think I paid, I'm trying to remember what I ended up paying for it. It was not much. It was probably under $100 for it. So even with, $45 for grading, it's totally worth it. Next book here is Spider-Man 13, First Mysterio. The last one that I just sent in actually got a purple label. It had a tiny, tiny, tiny little on this, well, what they thought was ink. I can't imagine that somebody actually purposely did that, but anyway, I got a purple label. This one should come back blue label. I think this is probably a 3.5 to 4.5. It does have that spine wear right there. But I was able to get this on Whatnot for a really good price, around $500. And in a 3.5 to 4.5, this First Mysterio is about $800 to $1,000 right now. It was higher, 3 months ago. It was probably up to $1,200, $1,300. The market is really soft for comics and collectibles right now. There's not a lot of great things going on in the world. Stock markets are down. Crypto has crashed. There's war going on. Doesn't mean we shouldn't be collecting. In fact, if you have the money, you should be investing and buying more comics and cards and anything, but just be smart about it. The next book, I actually have two of these that I'm going to be submitting. This is Fantastic 472. Now, this is not a specifically key issue, but it's OG Silver Surfer. It's one of the early Silver Surfer, classic Kirby, one of my favorite ones. I love these full picture surfers where he's on the board and it's just, you get that full Silver Surfer picture there. It reminds me of like issue 50. I have a bunch of these so far. I think I'm looking at one over there is a 7.5. I have a 7. I think this one's probably going to come back around a 7 or a 7.5. And again, it's a slightly later issue. It's 72. It's not 48, 49, 50. But, you know, it's around $250 to $300 in this range. And I might keep a bunch of these because I think that this is a book that for $250 to $300 or $350, whatever it is, it can only go up from there. Beautiful looking copy. The other one that I'm going to be submitting is probably around a 5, I would say. But you know, even at that, it's probably $150, $200. And that's a really easy book to resell. People love early Kirby, early Silver Surfer, Cosmic. They're just classic marble. This one I ended up getting on Whatnot as well, actually, from the Whatnot warehouse. I think I paid $300 for this. And this is the first Sentinels, X-Men 14. I do have another copy of this currently that I don't believe I sold. I think the one I have is a 4.0. I'm hoping to get a 7 to 7.5 out of this. It is really crisp and beautiful. Now, it does have a pen mark on there. Somebody had marked up that it was 12 cents. Theoretically, CGC should not be dinging you for that. Is there also a date stamp on here? No, but it has like, you know, and I'm very conservative with my spreadsheet here. I like to write down what I think it's going to get, how much it's worth, and then when I get them back, I go update my spreadsheet and I say, okay, yeah, I thought it was a 7 to 7.5, came back an 8, great, that's fantastic. But it trains you to know and sort of, and so you're not guessing every single time. It's the best way. You could look at a book and sort of, you know, try to pick up what you think it should be, but truthfully, CGC has their own little system. You're going to get a different person every time, but if you give yourself a 0.5 or a 1 point range, you can get really good at grading books pretty quickly, as long as you're submitting books quite often. Now, all these books, I cleaned and pressed myself. So I started off sending them off to a buddy of mine, Excelsior Comics. He's a really one of the best pressers in the country. I think he's been doing it a long time. He's got big clients. He's fantastic. I've taught myself over the last 2 years to be able to do the basics, and I'm taking my time and learning little bit by little bit of what I feel comfortable with, and I've done pretty well. You know, it's definitely not something that you want to jump into right away and just start pressing everything, because you can really ruin books if you don't know what you're doing, especially modern books. Thicker books, you can, you know, more fragile books you can ruin, and you take it step by step by step. This is Swamp Thing, #1. Beautiful Bernie Wrightson book, 1972, I think. Now, again, it has that's what I believe is a return date. A bunch of these DC books that I bought had return dates on them. They should not be dinging you for that, but who knows? I mean, sometimes the graders are new. The older books, the economy grade versus modern, I believe that the graders are more tenured and they should know what they're looking at. If this was on a modern book, they'd say, oh, it's just, you know, I'm going to ding it a point for that or whatever. So the Swamp Thing is, this is sort of a wide range, but I think it's somewhere between an 8.5 and a 9.2. I could see it getting an 8.5. I think it's probably more likely getting a 9 or a 9.2. And it's weird because the grading scale, 8.5, there's nothing in between an 8.5 and a 9.0. It goes 8.5, 9.0, 9.2, 9.4, 9.6, 9.8. So it's really just a point, you know, 3 steps of 0.2 there. So it's not that. I'm hoping that this comes back. This would be about a $300 to $400 book. Classic, second Swamp Thing. That's after the House of Secrets first appearance. Next one is a Fantastic Four 57 classic Doctor Doom. Doctor Doom is coming to the MCU. This has got a lot going on it. It's got the whole Fantastic Four, Silver Surfer right there, humongous Doctor Doom, these old Kirby covers with Doctor Doom. They're just so iconic, so classic. It does have a tiny little tape pull there, but number 57, I think this is still around a 5 to 5.5, and it's a $175 to $200 book. Happy to send that in all day long. Here we have Amazing Spider-Man 127. I'm hoping this comes back above a 9 and possibly up to a 9.4. Now it does have a tiny little color breaking crease over his pants down there. It's extremely tiny. You would think that this could be, you know, and a 9.8 is probably over $1,000, and it's the issue, 2 issues right before the first Punisher. It's beautiful. It's white. It really is really impressive. Not super expensive. Nothing major going on in it. It probably would be $200 max, but super easy to sell. Amazing Spider-Man in high grade. Everybody wants it. Here's an earlier one, Early Vulture, number 64. Pretty great cover. And that is around a 9.2 to 9.4. Now this is 60 issues earlier than the last one. This could be $300 to $500 in this high grade. And we will, when I record my next video, we'll see how good I was here. I've been pretty accurate. It gets a lot harder on these older books because there's just so much going on in it. And quite honestly, you know, I think they're, from what I see, I don't think they're completely consistent between the generations and the modern books. If there's like a little crease, it could drop down to a 7, where a little crease on here could be like a 9.2. So it's hard to tell sometimes. It shouldn't be that way, but it is. Teen Titans, number 1. You'll notice something interesting about this. There is no number 1 on here at all. It doesn't say Teen Titans 1. It doesn't have a number, but it is number 1. Again, it has a number written at the top there. We got Beast Boy looking not like Beast Boy. Or sorry, that's Beast Boy. Or maybe they're both Beast Boy. No, that's a villain they're fighting. This one, probably going to come back in between a 5.5 and a 6.5. The colors are beautiful. It does have I could even see it getting a 7 maybe, but there's a bunch of little issues going on it. It is $300 to $400, and I'll probably end up holding on to that. That is just, there's a big fan base for Teen Titans. Just a fantastic book to own. Here's a unique one. Now, this is Blue Beetle number 1. This is the first appearance of the Question. Who is the Question, right? And this is Charlton. Now, Modern Comics made a reprint of this, and it looks basically exactly the same, except the little Modern logo up there. This is the first print. This is from 1964. Again, I think this is probably a 5.5 to 6.5. It's a $300 to $400 book, but a big key. Here we have issue 72, The Shocker. Now, this is a classic black Romita cover. Insanely hard to get these in high grade because everything shows up on the black. It's only on the front of it. But, you know, this one and the Kingpin 69 and, oh my God, the first Molten Man is impossible. That's early Spider-Man. You know, they always just show everything on it. So this is probably in between an 8.5 and a 9.2. And it could be anywhere from $200 to $500. So again, knowing that it's costing $45 to grade it, probably round up to 50 with shipping and everything else. I bought this in a large ASM collection, so I'm you know, pennies on the dollar of how much I'm in on each book. $200. If it gets an 8.5, I'll take it. You know, if it ends up getting a 9 or above, it's $300, $400, $500. Then this is the second Hammerhead, I believe, number 114. Again, 8.5 to 9.2. Another black, another really hard black, but high grade. I like these ones where they're framed in here. There was a bunch around this time that were blue or yellow. They really pop. Here's a beautiful black one. It gave the artist the opportunity to get the logo up there separate and whatever they were gonna say here separate. They're really impressive. So second Hammerhead, and in this condition, it would be around $200 to $300. Here we have 2 issues. I'm sending in 2 of these. This is, I believe, the second Raja Ghul or maybe third Raja Ghul. This is 244, classic Neil Adams cover. Just so freaking iconic. This one, I bought both of these actually at a flea market for like $20, I think. This one has a better spine. It doesn't have that white. It's not a roll, but just, where it was folded or printed and cut. So one of these is, where am I? One of these is around a 7.5 to 8, and the other is a 5.5 to 6. The 5.5 to 6 is 150 to 175. That kind of puts me on the verge of, is it worth it or not? Or is it better to sell raw? But I think it's an easy sell. Neil Adams just passing away recently. I think I could easily sell that. The higher grade one is $300 to $550. I just recently sold 2 issues of 251. That's the infamous one with the Batman Joker card, and those went, immediately gone. Batman's hard to sell sometimes, though. It's not as easy as some of this Marvel stuff. If Batman was in the Marvel universe, he'd be the most popular character ever. He's not, though. He's in DCU. Superman is totally just non-existent at this point, except the really old, expensive stuff. Nobody collects Superman at this point. I shouldn't say nobody. Very few people. Batman has a following, but his books are harder. But you can that also means you can get some of the classic keys for super cheap. I love the old stuff. I'm super into, obviously anybody would. They're hard to find. Here's one this is the earliest issue. No, I think I have number 64 as well. This is issue 82. Just the flying Batman. I sold one of these a couple of years ago. I think it was a 3 or a 4, and I never thought I was gonna see it again. And I ended up picking up another collection and picked up a 4.5, and I'm totally happy with that. Thor 168. This is the Origin of Galactus. Beautiful, nice, undervalued key. It has overspray at the top here, which is fine. That was a way of them identifying when the magazine should be distributed and sent back easily. So they just look at the top of them. You'll see green and red and color coding system for them. It's okay if you see it sort of like that. Sometimes it's really bad. Sometimes it's not that bad. This is sort of in between. The best ones are you just see it at the top. Let's see, what else have we got here? So Thor 168, 5 to 6, 200 to 225. Now we have 2 ASM 135s here. This is the second appearance of the Punisher. I actually had one of these in a slab that I had graded a while ago, and I don't know if I just didn't see the damage to it or it got damaged in shipping, but it was a 5.5, I think, 5.5, and I decided that it was worth like $150. It's the second Punisher, and so I cracked the slab and I pressed it a couple times, and it looks phenomenally better. So I'm hoping that it bumps up to like an 8.0, because it had basically, I think this is the one, it has a little crunch down there, but it had a big fold on the back, non-color break-in, and I basically got rid of all that. So this should be able to get an 8. I mean, that's a fantastic bump from like a 5.5 to an 8. So I think this one is probably somewhere between a 7 and an 8, $180 to $300. If I'm lucky, I'll even go higher. I picked up another one recently, and they're just awesome, beautiful covers. Early Punisher, classic cover, character that just has got huge appeal, easy to sell. Speaking of the Punisher, we have ASM 129, and I bought this in a collection. The cover is ripped to shreds. It was detached. I have very low expectations. Like, it's going to get a 0.5 no matter what, but it is complete. And yeah, I mean, you could see it's, and what's the amazing thing, I put a little note on here for them to be careful with it and, you know, fake bribe them. The ASM 129, a 0.5 is still $600 to $700 at this point. No brainer. It's going in. It's getting slabbed. Same deal with where's my ASM? Yeah. Low grade. Some of these books, they're just so expensive regardless. I mean, it's missing a big piece here. The cover's detached. It got a 0.5. This is a $5,000 to $7,500 book in 0.5. So 0.5 first Punisher, you know, for somebody that doesn't have $3,000-$4,000 to drop and wants to get in on this, I mean, it's unfortunate that it's missing a portion of him right there, but I think that I can easily get $500 to probably $700 for this, no problem at all, to the right buyer. Might have to be on eBay, but and I remember maybe 5 or 6 years ago buying what ended up being a 7.0. I bought that one for $600. So it's amazing that a 0.5 at this point, you know, 5, 6, 7 years later, can get what I paid for it 6 years ago, and that's a 7.0. Iron Man 1. 1968. It's got some light wear to it. It's not super crisp, but there's nothing wrong with it. It's complete. It's beautiful. This is probably a 4.5 to a 5, and that can range. The price difference is quite amazing, but $450 to $700 depending on where it lands. This book, shockingly, I feel like is undervalued at this point right now. I mean, obviously the high grades go for a lot of money, but you could still pick up I remember 6, 7 years ago, you know, I was thinking, oh, bargain price, or you know, get it at no matter what the condition is, at like $300. Now that price seems to be $500. So the fact that you can still get a pretty decent looking copy of Iron Man 1 for $500 is amazing. Here's a unique one. We have Chilling Adventures in Sorcery as told by Sabrina the Teenage Witch. This is Archie. This is a beautiful, crisp, awesome cover. A lot going on it. And I think this is probably going to get an 8.5 to 9.2. It's from 1972. So the economy tier is everything from before 1975. So 1975 and beyond goes to modern. 1974 below goes to economy, up to $400. You know, you can kind of sneak a bunch of the ones in there that are on the cusp, because it's, who knows whether it's going to come back at what grade. You know, are any of these going to get bumped up to the more expensive tier by them? Possibly, but I'm putting them all through economy, and we'll see where they land. This is a pretty rare book, and this would be $350 to $700. All right, so where are we next? Okay. I bought a collection recently of Golden Age books. A lot of mystery and horror were in there. It was a small collection, maybe 100, 200 books. But and this is pre-code. So this is before they started having the code on there and toning it down on the horror that they were putting out for kids. This is Baffling Mysteries, what number is this? Number 7. This is just unbelievably awesome to me. Got this Swamp Thing looking guy with the girl in the red bikini, and it's just quite amazing. And the fact that the colors are so vibrant. I mean, you just really don't see artwork like this. I put a little note on there. Loose staples, please be careful, because when they're taking them out of this things, they are not that careful. I'm really not sure on these Golden Age where the prices are going to land, because A, there's not a lot of them out there. B, there's not a lot of them for sale, whether raw or slabbed. And when there are ones that are slabbed, the sales could be like, you know, a sale here in 2012 and a sale here in 2019. And the prices really didn't. In 2012, you could get like a 9.2 for $300, and that would be like $6,000 now. So I'm not really sure where they're going to land. I know that some of these probably are going to be in the $300 to $1,000 or more, but it really depends on the grades that they get. But this is a pretty nice book. You know, maybe I'll get a 4.0 out of it. This next one is Airboy Comics this is volume 2 volume 9 number 12. This is by Hillman Periodicals, and what's cool about this is the Heap. Now the Heap is the precursor to Swamp Thing and Man Thing, and there was a couple iterations, but basically you can see he's got that Man Thing nose right there. Airboy Comics, I have another Airboy that I'm going to be submitting. You'll see that in a minute. But just phenomenal. Man Thing is he was in the Werewolf by Night special, and people are really digging horror right now. I don't blame them. I'm a huge horror fan. So this is a really great book to have. It is quite large. It's not quite the size of a magazine, but it is large. Some of these Golden Ages are very big. Here we have Web of Mystery. This is by Ace Periodicals. Now, books like this, if this is a DC book or a Marvel book, Marvel had a few, but DC had more horror like this, but it would be worth insane amount of money. In this, it's probably a few $100s. What did I say? This was number 8, but just you got the spider-looking guy there, and the woman who's trapped, sort of this bondage-looking image, and the skulls. It's got everything going on here. I think a bunch of these, the covers had become detached, so I had to do a little bit of work to use some mending tissue to get the covers back on there so they don't completely fall apart by the time that it gets into a slab. CGC will grade accordingly for that, but it will get a blue label, though. If it doesn't, I'd be shocked. Here's another really cool one. This is St. John publication, Weird Horrors #1 from 1952. This has got that EC. This is possibly like an EC knockoff. I'm not really sure, but it sort of has that EC look with the stories on the side there. Weird Horrors #1. And again, I don't think this is super duper expensive. Maybe if I get a 4 or 5 out of it, it's a $700 or $800 book. I need to look a little bit closer. Here is All Top this is Fox Feature Syndicate All Top Comics number 16 from 1949. And you have this jungle woman. This is like a Sheena-esque, I don't think it's Sheena, fighting a octopus. All Top Comics are very, very expensive. This in a high grade would be like $5,000 or $10,000. I'll be lucky to get a 1.8 out of it, but it is just phenomenal. And even in that low grade, there's just so few of these, and it's probably worth a few $100s at minimum. To the right person, I could double that. Here's another one by Fox Features. This is Crimes by Women #6. And these are they crack me up. There's just so much going on here. You got these 2 women fighting, the woman in the red dress and the guy smoking the cigarette in the back, and he's telling them to tisk now girls, chill out. And she's saying, he's mine. I tell her to stay away. Anyway, it's a 10-cent Crimes for Women detective comics. It's got everything going on for it. It's just phenomenal. So, again, this is a 1.8 or 2, but it has to get slabbed, and it's very rare and old. Okay, so I think that's it for the Golden Age. Now, back to silver. This is Batman 186. This is a really, really nice copy of this. I don't know, 9.2, 9.4. Could I get a 9.6? Maybe. This is the first appearance of, what was his name? It's his henchman, Clowney, I think. Joker's sidekick, Clowney. So this in high grade could be a couple $1,000s possibly. Okay, we have this is Amazing Adventures #1, the First Inhumans solo story. Early Black Widow as well. This is, again, high grade, above a 9, 9.2, 9.4, something like that. You can see it has that overspray up there and the return date on there. Like I said, CGC shouldn't be dinging you on a return date or a stamp, but it might hold you back from getting a 9.8. Might even hold you back from getting a 9.6. Now that I say that, my buddy just sent one in with from that series that got a 9.6. So no, it's not going to hold you back from that. 149. This is beautiful Spidey. It's got a little bit of a color breaking down at the corner there, a few little dings, but again, probably above a 9. Early Spider clone. I don't think it's the first Spider clone. Early Spider clone. Here we got another Golden Age. This I picked up from a guy in the city. He only had 2 Golden Age books, and the rest was 90s garbage, but the 2 were fantastic. I'm a huge Submariner fan, so to get Submariner number 39, Atlas Comics, this was just the best to me. I did not pay a lot for it. And to boot, there was also Human Torch and Young Men number 27. This one's not as great condition, but it's got this awesome hypnotic skull guy back there. And it's got the Human Torch, and it's got Submariner. It's just, everything's fantastic about it. Very, very expensive books. I think depending on where the Submariner lands, it could be, anywhere from like $500 to $1,000, and probably the same for the Young Men. We have the Savage Submariner number 69 battling Spider-Man, and this one this is the second issue with his new outfit, which obviously doesn't match what they did in the MCU. But fighting Spider-Man is iconic, and this is really high grade. This is probably a 9. Where did I put this? Probably 9.6, which is very expensive. This one is an interesting one. This is Major in a Pack Space Ace. Now this is like an advertisement comic book. It's thin. It's number 1. There's a handful of them available on eBay. Most of them are low grade. I'm hoping, I would not submit this. I think I paid $10 for it, which is phenomenal for a book from 50 or something like that. It's because it's not from a major publisher. It's an advertisement piece, basically, with a full comic book in there. Let me take it out and show you. Major in a Pack. What is this? 9 minerals, crystalline. I don't know, some sort of drink. But the artwork is pretty phenomenal. It's really great. And, if this was DC or something like that, Challengers of the Unknown, it would be worth thousands of dollars. This is probably I'm hoping is going to come back a 9.4 or above. And because of that, it has a shot at being worth a few $100s, I think. And I don't know that there's many, if any, graded. I was flipping through one of the Golden Age books, one of the thicker ones, and there was a loose page in there, and I pulled it out, and it had Miss America. The book is gone, but it's Marvel Mystery Comics number 61. So it has this early Miss America here, and then on top of that, on the other side was the end to the story of Submariner. So I'm going to send this in, and it's going to get what's called an NG, where they're just grading, it's incomplete, and that's fine for the right thing. If this was a complete comic book, it would be worth, in any grade, thousands of dollars, because it's just the one page, and it looks really cool, and it's pretty awesome that it looks like it's almost the intro to the book, although I don't think it is. This would probably be, I could probably get a couple $100s out of it. We do have a few more Golden Age ones here. Crime Patrol, True Crime. This is, what publisher is this? This is an EC book. Johnny Craig artwork. Just phenomenal. I don't know that all the Crime Patrol books were this cool. This is a really, really cool one. Deep blacks, beautiful looking. Here's another Airboy Comics, formerly Air Fighter Comics. I don't know if this is the first issue that they changed it. I don't know why they changed it, but look at that artwork. Oh my God, he's got the skull guy, and he's about to throw Airboy, and she's got an axe and an airplane in the background and a huge moon. It's just got everything. Again, this oversized format. It's not super high grade, probably get a 2 or 2.5 or something like that, but it's, there's just so few of them. I could probably ask whatever I want, and if the right person walks along, $500 or something. Here's a unique one. Now this is AA Comics. This is Grand Slam Aces. Purple Rider, Red Rover. It is closer to magazine size. I'm not sure what CGC is going to do here because it is not a magazine. It's definitely a comic, but it is quite large. So we'll see if they try to push that into the magazine tier or not. But there's like a handful that have been graded and maybe a few that have been sold over the years. I think somebody has a raw one for sale for $500 or $700. You know, so if I get a halfway decent grade out of this, maybe I'll put it up on an auction site like Heritage or something. We have Submariner number 50, First Namorita, key issue. Submariner, the Black Panther 2 was phenomenal. I shouldn't say that. There was key aspects that I didn't love, but the majority, Submariner, I loved in this. I don't care that they changed his background. I've been waiting for Submariner to get to the MCU. I'm a big fan, and I thought that was just really perfect. They had the right actor for it, and the storyline was great. And I think they're going to be doing some really, really good things with it. I read though that they don't own the rights to it, so they can't make a full-length movie out of it, but he could be the antagonist, which he probably will be throughout a bunch of movies. So Submariner number 50. It's not the whitest copy, but it's high grade though. So, even if I get a 8.5 out of it, it's still $150, $200 or something like that. We have ASM 131, a really, really nice, high, crisp grade of this. This is one of these books that I had when I was a kid, and my copy is so beat to crap. It's probably a 2.0 or something like that. So I'm kind of excited to see where this gets, but I think it's probably a 9.4 to a 9.6. Doc Ock marries Aunt May, tricks her somehow. We got Amazing Spider-Man number 80. Again, this could probably get it somewhere between a 9.4 and a 9.6. If my notes are correct, or maybe it's 9.2 to 9.6. Either way. Here's Weird Mystery number 1. Beautiful high-grade book. This one's one of the ones that is on the verge of maybe I should send it in, maybe I shouldn't. But I still think that if it gets the right grade, it could be $200-$300. Worst case, it gets slightly lower and I get $100 out of it, or $150. None of these books I'm in the position of losing money on, but obviously if you're spending, the total bill for this submission of 50 books is going to be $2,200. So I need to make $2,200 plus whatever I'm in on it, and I don't want to drop $2,200 and not make a decent amount of money. So, you have to choose your books wisely. You got to press them. You got to take your time with them. And there's plenty of books that I pulled out and said, I started looking up the recent sales of them. Silver Age is down right now. So, all the books are down 25 to 50% because of where we are in the world. So the fact that Silver Age has kind of gone with that, books that were $300 slabbed are now selling for $100 in auction. You got to be careful what you're sending in, unless you're doing it for your personal collection, in which case just, do it now and hold on to it. And great if you can buy in at a cheap price and hold on to it for 10 years, but I buy and sell year round. So every time that, even if I'm going to keep it for my PC for a while, I have to weigh in whether it's worthwhile of me spending money to get it graded and shipping and everything else, and when I could be spending that money on something else. Here's one that I think has always been undervalued. Not that it's the first Nick Fury, or Sergeant Fury came first, but Nick Fury with the eye patch. This is the first Nick Fury Agent of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think this is an undervalued key. This is probably going to come back like a 4.5, but he's got a decent following where I think it will be an easy sell. I have another one as well. Here's that other Silver Surfer. This one's probably around a 5 as well. All right, we have 2 copies of Demon. These are probably going to be around a 7.5 to an 8. They have printer creases, which are done when it was printed and the way that it was pulled on the roll or folded. The ink went over it. The paper wasn't totally flat and the ink went over it. Theoretically, CGC should not be deducting for that, but it's good. It would hold you back from getting a high grade. It's got the return date on there. I had 3 or 4 of these. I sold one of them at least. I have these 2 for some reason, and I don't know if it's all the Demon, but one of them I pressed and it's the staples went through on the side, and I think that the paper on this is a little bit thinner, so I had to be a little bit careful with these two. You know, DC paper is not the same as Marvel paper. It just, you know, the inks aren't the same, the paper is not exactly the same, so you always have to be a little bit careful, and the longer I do this, the more knowledgeable I'll be. Fantastic. We got the Phantom Stranger. This is one that I would think would be a no-brainer. It's not the first appearance of the Phantom Stranger. That would be Showcase, but it is an early one, maybe a second appearance or something like that. But it's a really, really high grade. I'm on the fence about it. I'm gonna send it in just because, you know, he's a pretty popular character, and this could probably be a $200 book to maybe a $300 book, but it is high grade, and maybe I'll get lucky and get a little bit higher. Here we have Submariner number 3. This is the second Triton, who is early Inhuman. I think Triton is maybe the first Inhuman. I'm not sure about that. And really high grade. The only thing holding this back, and I'm curious, is how they're gonna ding me. Now I could take the time and try to get this out, but it's got a water stain back there. It's light, but you know, that's probably gonna ding me 0.5 at least. Other than that, though, if that wasn't there, it probably had a shot at a 9.4 or above. Last few books. Okay, we have Iron Man 3. Now, this has a tiny tape pull, and right below it, it also has a date stamp. The date stamp doesn't matter. The tape pull does, but without that, this would have been a high, you know, probably a 9.6, maybe even a shot at a 9.8. It is a beautiful copy of it. Pretty cool artwork. It's got the Freak. I've had this one for a long time, and before the market went cuckoo, I said, why would I submit this? You know, it's Iron Man 3. It's not Iron Man 1. It was probably worth, in a high grade like this, like $20 for the longest time. All these Silver Age have really picked up. My buddy just had an Iron Man sale the other day, and I can't remember what Iron Man 3 went for, but probably raw probably went for like $100 or $75 or something. So, you know, this could be worth a couple $100, even with that little tape pull there. We have Doctor Strange 171. This is the first cameo of Dormammu, last page. It's the third issue after 169, which is the where it goes from Strange Tales to Doctor Strange, and beautiful, vibrant colors. And I'm hoping to get a high 9 out of this. And last but not least, we have Thor 169. It's not the highest grade. It's the first Black Winter, early Galactus, part of the origin story. Great cover here. I love everything that Kirby was doing on Thor at this time. It's not, again, it's probably like a 4.5, 5, maybe a 5.5. But even at that, though, it could be worth $200 or more. So those are the 50 books that I've decided I'm sending in. You know, they probably take a week or two for them to open it up. And at this point, it's not slow at CGC, but it's not super fast either. And on top of that, the expedited is 20 business day turnaround. So we're looking at a month for grading, and then add another week or two for them to unbox it. So a month and a half, and then shipping. So maybe it could take 2 months through the whole process. Hopefully it's much sooner than that. But I'll do another follow-up video, and we can see where we landed. And fingers crossed, I'm pretty accurate on this stuff. Thanks for indulging me here. Please look for further videos. GoodBuy_comics. I'm on Whatnot a couple times a week, selling all kinds of great stuff. We got Silver Age shows. We got Mark Jewelers shows. I'll do a video on here for Mark Jewelers. We got minor keys, major keys, slab shows. You know, typically there's 30 to 40,000 books in inventory here that are just cycling through. Collections come in, we get rid of them. You know, I'm not one of those businesses that has 600,000 books, because at a certain point it just gets out of control and you fall behind. I'm already behind at 30,000. I have to make sure I don't have to squeeze every little last penny out of everything, but I got to make sure that you know, it's maintainable. So Anyway, thank you guys. Really appreciate. Please subscribe. Please follow. Hit me up, and happy hunting.